You're standing in what used to be a comfortable middle-class neighborhood, nice houses, tree-lined streets, kids playing in parks, but now the streets are empty. Windows are shattered, smoke rises in the distance. It's 1993, Sarajevo, Bosnia, and you're about to witness something that will shatter everything you think you know about money, wealth, and survival. A man approaches you. You recognize him. He used to work at the bank downtown, always wore a suit, always had that confident banker's smile. But today, he looks different, thinner. This petty is holding something in his trembling hands. A gold necklace, real gold, heavy, expensive. Before the war, this could have paid for 2 months of his salary, but he's not asking for food. He's not asking for medicine. He's asking for cigarettes. And a couple of disposable lighters. You might think he's lost his mind, trading gold for cigarettes. But he hasn't. He is one of the few people who figured out the cruel truth that most people learn too late. When the system collapses, gold becomes decoration. Fire becomes survival. This isn't a story I made up. This isn't speculation or theory. This is the real account from Selco Begovic, a man who survived over a year in a city under total siege, where money became worthless overnight and the rules of value were completely rewritten. And what he learned in those dark months could save your life one day. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to tell you. Everything you've been taught about protecting your wealth during a crisis is probably wrong. Let's talk about gold. Go to any financial advisor, watch any prepper channel, read any survival blog. They'll all tell you the same thing. Buy gold, buy silver. If you can hold it, you own it. It's real money. It's been valuable for thousands of years. And you know what? They're not completely wrong. Gold has been valuable throughout history. It's portable. It's divisible. It doesn't rot or rust. But here's what they conveniently forget to mention. Gold is only valuable when there's a functioning society to recognize its value. Think about it. Gold has no intrinsic use. You can't eat it. You can't burn it for warmth. You can't plant it in the ground and grow food. You can't use it to purify water or treat an infection. Gold's value is 100% based on collective agreement, on trust, on the belief that someone else will want it tomorrow. And when that trust evaporates, when society fragments, when survival becomes the only goal, gold becomes nothing more than a shiny rock. Selco saw this firsthand. He watched people with gold jewelry, gold coins, even gold bars, starve to death, because nobody wanted their gold. Not for food, not for medicine, not for firewood. Meanwhile, the guy with the vegetable garden, he ate. The woman who knew how to make alcohol from fruit, she could trade for anything. The family with a water filter and a way to purify water. They became the richest people in the neighborhood, not because they had gold, because they had utility. Now, you might be thinking, sure, but Bosnia was a war zone. That's an extreme example, and you're right. It is extreme, but that's exactly the point. Because currency collapse doesn't happen gradually. It doesn't give you warning signs and time to prepare. It happens fast. Let me show you. Bosnia, 1992, a normal European city. Banks, supermarkets, jobs, schools. People used diners to buy things. Life was normal. Within months, not years, months, the entire monetary system collapsed. At first, people tried to keep using cash. Prices went up, but people adjusted. A loaf of bread cost 10 times more than it used to, then 50 times. Then 100 times, then cash stopped working altogether. Suddenly the only thing that mattered was barter, direct exchange, goods for goods, skills for food. But that's a war zone, you say. That couldn't happen in a stable country. Really? Let's talk about Venezuela. In 2012, Venezuela had one of the strongest economies in South America. Oil-rich, urban, modern. By 2018, hyperinflation hit 1 million%. 1 million%. The currency became so worthless that people stopped counting it. They weighed it instead. A kilogram of cash couldn't buy a kilogram of rice. The government tried to fix it by declaring old bills illegal. They gave citizens 72 hours, 3 days to exchange their life savings for new currency. If you didn't make it to the bank in time, your money became literal trash. Overnight, millions of people lost everything they'd saved for decades. And it gets worse. Argentina, 2001 economic collapse. The peso lost 75% of its value in weeks. Banks froze accounts. ATMs stopped working. Half the country fell into poverty almost overnight. People who had saved their entire lives in banks locked out their savings trapped behind bulletproof glass. But the farmer with chickens and vegetables, he was fine. The mechanic who could fix generators, he had more trade value than a lawyer with a bank account full of worthless pesos. See the pattern. When the system fails, value doesn't disappear, it just shifts. It shifts from theoretical wealth to practical utility. So if gold doesn't work, what does? Let's go back to Bosnia, to Venezuela. to Argentina, to every major collapse in recent history. What did people actually trade for? What kept people alive? Number 1. Fire. In Bosnia, lighters and matches became more valuable than gold. Why? Because fire means cooked food. Fire means you can boil water and not die from cholera or dysentery. Fire means warmth in winter when there's no electricity or gas. Selco said people would trade almost anything for a working lighter, not a fancy lighter, not a gold-plated Zippo, just a cheap disposable lighter that worked. Number 2. Clean water. When infrastructure collapses, water systems fail, pipes break, treatment plants stop working. In Venezuela today, people walk miles every day just to fill containers from rivers and springs, and even then the water isn't safe. A simple water filter, worth its weight in gold literally. Someone who knew how to purify water, who had bleach or iodine tablets or a filtration system. That person became invaluable. Number 3. Food production. Not stored food. Production. Canned goods run out. Stockpiles disappear, but a vegetable garden, chickens, a fruit tree, that keeps giving. In Venezuela, farmers don't sell their produce for currency anymore. They barter directly. Fish for rice, eggs for flour. Coffee beans have become an unofficial currency in some regions because they're standardized, useful, and consumable. The people who survive aren't the ones with warehouses full of canned beans. They're the ones who know how to grow food, how to preserve it, how to raise animals. Number 4. Medical knowledge and supplies. Hospitals shut down. Pharmacies run out. Medicine becomes impossible to get. But the person who knows how to treat infections, set broken bones, deliver babies, that person is priceless. Selco talks about how antibiotics became worth more than anything else. A course of antibiotics could buy you a car if anyone had a car worth trading. Basic medical supplies, bandages, antiseptics, painkillers became treasure. Number 5. Repair skills. When you can't buy new things, you have to fix old things. The mechanic who could get a generator running, the electrician who could rig up a solar panel, the person who could repair shoes, clothes, tools. They had constant work, constant trade, constant value, because in a collapsed economy, nothing is disposable anymore. But here's something even more important than skills or supplies, something that Selco emphasizes again and again in his accounts: community. The people who survived weren't lone wolves with bunkers full of gold. They were people with strong networks, neighbors who trusted each other, families who worked together, communities that organized and protected each other. Because here's the brutal reality. In a true collapse, you can have all the supplies in the world, and a group of desperate armed people can take them from you in minutes. But if you're part of a trusted community, if you have skills that people need, if you've built relationships and reputation, you're far safer than any amount of gold or guns can make you. Selco survived because he had a group. They pooled resources, shared skills, watched each other's backs. The people who tried to go it alone, most of them didn't make it. This is the part that prepper culture often misses. It's not about stockpiling, it's not about hiding, it's about connection. It's about being useful. It's about building relationships before you need them. Think about your own life right now. If the power went out tomorrow and didn't come back on, who would you turn to? Do you know your neighbors? Do they trust you? Do you have skills they need? Can you fix things, grow things, make things, teach things? Or would you be standing there with a pile of gold coins hoping someone will trade you food for something they can't eat? Now, I'm not saying don't save money. I'm not saying don't have emergency funds or some precious metals. What I'm saying is, don't let that be your only strategy. Because if history teaches us anything, it's this: the people who survive collapse are the people who have practical value. So here's what you should actually be focusing on. 1. Learn practical skills: gardening, water purification, basic medicine, repair work, food preservation. These aren't prepper skills. These are human skills. Skills that have kept people alive for thousands of years. To build community, get to know your neighbors, join local groups, volunteer, create relationships based on trust and mutual aid. When things go wrong, these relationships will be worth more than gold. 3. Focus on production, not just storage. Don't just stockpile food, learn to grow it. Don't just buy tools, learn to use them and fix them. Think long-term sustainability, not short-term hoarding. 4. Diversify your value. Have some cash, have some savings, maybe have some precious metals, but also have skills, have tools, have land if you can, have knowledge, have relationships. Spread your value across multiple forms so that no matter what fails, you have something that still works. 5. Stay mentally flexible. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that tomorrow will look like today. It won't. Value shifts, priorities change. What matters today might be worthless tomorrow, and what seems useless today might become priceless. Stay adaptable, stay observant, stay ready to pivot. Here's the bottom line. When the system collapses, and history shows us it can and has collapsed repeatedly, gold won't save you. Fire will, water will, food will, skills will, community will. The question isn't whether you'll face hard times. The question is, when they come, will you be valuable? Not wealthy, valuable, because in the end, survival doesn't go to the richest, it goes to the most useful. Think about that, and maybe start learning how to start a fire.